Hi, my name's Sally and this is my mum Tan.
Hi.
Say hi.
Hi.
My mum is Thai. I'm half Thai. And today we're going to be teaching you how to make a Tom Yum risotto. The other day I was making a saffron risotto and I was showing mum how to make one because she's never made a risotto before. So as I'm making it, she's like, what other flavors can you do? And I was like, well, you could do a mushroom risotto, you could do an asparagus risotto, and you just use different broths for different flavors. And she was like, how about like a Tom Yum broth? And I was like, oh my goodness, brilliant. So mom is gonna show us in this video how to make a Tom Yum, authentic Thai Tom Yum.
Yes.
Yeah, authentic Thai Tom Yum from scratch. And then you can eat that if you want and be done with this video. Or you can watch through the end and I will use the broth from the Tom Yum to make the Tom Yum risotto. So yes, let's get started. If there's one thing I've learned from having a Thai mother, it's that preparation is everything. We're starting by getting all the ingredients ready for the two parts of this recipe. For the stock, the first ingredient is galangal, the cousin of ginger and one of the key aromatics in an authentic Thai Tom Yum. It has this earthy, citrusy fragrance that really adds to the soup. If you can't find galangal, ginger can be used, but it will change the final flavor. We're using about 2 bulbs here, sliced into thin rounds. Next is lemongrass. To release its oils and aroma, we give it a good smash. We're using a heavy butcher knife here, but you can use whatever works best for you. Then we chop it into 1-inch pieces. Kaffir lime leaves are another must. We're using around 15 for this recipe. We like to keep them in a Ziploc bag in the freezer so they're always on hand. Just tear them slightly before adding them, and that's how the aroma is going to be released into the stock. And finally, this part is optional, but I believe this is one of my mum's secret ingredients to a lot of her Thai dishes, and it's coriander root. They usually come still attached to the coriander at certain stores, but if not, you can use just the stems instead. So on the prep plate, you'll also see some lime slices and mushrooms. We'll come back to those later in the video. But for now, while we have a clean chopping board, we're gonna dice 1 whole white onion, or you can use yellow if you have that, and set that aside for the risotto base. Now it's time for the seafood. For this recipe, we're using shrimps, or prawns for our non-US friends, which form the base of the stock. A very standard Tom Yum technique. We're also adding squid, simply because I love it. Mum likes to trim the sharp pointed tips of the shrimp, as well as the long feelers, since they can be a bit annoying. For the squid, we start by pulling out the insides and removing the clear cartilage, then peeling away the thin purplish skin on the outside. That way, the squid cooks up tender and clean. Next, we remove the shrimp heads, but be sure to keep them because we'll be drawing out all of their flavor in the pan. The same goes for the shells. It's kind of like making a chicken stock, where you use the carcass. Once that's done, we devein the shrimp. We're keeping the tails on for presentation in the final risotto, but if you don't care about aesthetics, you can remove them now to make eating just a little bit easier. Then we slice the clean squid into rings and set it aside. Okay, back to the lime. Here's a little trick to get the most juice out of them. Instead of cutting straight through the center, cut the lime around the core in 3 sections, almost like you're cutting off the cheeks of a mango. Then squeeze each piece with the help of a spoon. You'll get a lot more juice this way, unlike a standard cut wedge. Then set aside the lime juice for later. Now everything is prepared and ready to go. Just a quick note, we've got chilies on the prep plate, but those are for garnish and to add some color to the final dish. We also have about a cup of mushrooms. These are shimeji mushrooms because we love the texture, but you can use any mushrooms that you like. A few other things you'll also want to have ready is palm sugar, which usually comes like this, fish sauce, this is my favorite and the cleanest brand on the market that I could find, and Thai chili paste. More about this one later on. And don't worry, I've linked a blog post with the recipe in the description box below, along with a downloadable grocery list image for this recipe. Okay, now that the prep is done, it's finally time to cook. We used about a tablespoon of avocado oil, just enough to coat the bottom and prevent sticking since we're working with stainless steel. With the heat on high, we add the shrimp shells and the heads. Cook them until the moisture evaporates and they start to caramelize and stick to the pan. The smell is honestly incredible, almost like shrimp on the Barbie, if you know what that is. They'll turn a vibrant orange color, and that's when they're pretty much done. At this point, we add about 1.5 liters of boiling water, followed by all of the aromatics we prepared earlier, except the mushrooms and the chilies. See how having everything ready makes this part so easy? Bring the stock to a boil, then season with about half a teaspoon of salt. Next comes the Thai chili paste. So the Thai chili paste is called Nam Prik Pao.
It's roasted, slightly smoky, and adds both depth and umami to the broth. You'll find it at most Asian grocers, usually in a jar. I would say this is the particular brand that I see my mum use the most. We're using about 2 to 3 tablespoons. Then add 1-inch cube of palm sugar. If you can't find palm sugar, you can use whatever sugar you prefer. The purpose is to balance out the heat, sourness, and saltiness, which is the essence of a tom yum. Follow this with a 1/4 cup of fish sauce, then bring it back up to a boil. After a few minutes, everything will have dissolved into the broth. Taste and adjust. Mum felt it needed a bit of a flavor lift, basically some more saltiness, so we added just a little bit more fish sauce.
Okay, we finished making the tom yum almost, but Mum wanted me to point out that now it's going to be inauthentic because we're not adding the prawns and the lime juice because we're doing the risotto. So we finished making the broth. Oh, and normally you would take out the prawn heads by now because we've just used the prawn heads and the shells to make the stock.
And this is where we made a mistake, and you should most definitely learn from our mistake. Aside from my little filming fail in the last shot where I didn't know how to focus the camera, we also made life a little bit harder with this dish. We added the mushrooms and the shrimp to the stock before removing the aromatics and the shells, which meant Mum had to sift through everything, separating the mushrooms and the shrimp, the stuff we actually wanted to eat, from the bits in this broth that you don't want to be chewing on, that's for sure. And now we move on to the part of the recipe where we make the risotto with this beautiful tom yum stock. We start by adding about 2 tablespoons of ghee to the pan. We prefer ghee over butter for its flavor. Then in goes the diced onions and we cook that on medium heat until it turns translucent and soft. Next, we add 1 cup of arborio rice. Toast the grains for about 2 to 3 minutes, stirring constantly. This step coats the rice in fat and brings out a slightly nutty aroma. Once the rice is toasted, we pour in 1/2 cup of white wine and stir until it's almost completely absorbed. The alcohol should evaporate, leaving just the flavor behind, and that's when you know it's ready for the stock. This part can be omitted if you don't have alcohol. Okay, a quick pause from the risotto. Mum decided the tom yum didn't have enough spice, so she lightly bruised the chilies in a mortar and pestle and then added them to the stock. It gave the broth the perfect kick. And save the chilies because we'll still use them for garnish. Okay, back to the risotto. Now it's time for the liquid gold that we've created. Using a sieve, ladle the tom yum stock into the rice 1 ladle at a time. Stir gently and wait until most of the liquid has been absorbed before adding the next ladle. You'll know it's time when you can drag your spoon across the bottom of the pan and the rice holds for just a second before the liquid fills back in. We keep repeating this process ladle by ladle until the rice is creamy and tender but still has a little bite in the center, what Italians call al dente. This usually takes around 18 to 20 minutes. Once the rice is cooked, turn off the stove and add that lime juice that we've been saving, teaspoon at a time until you get the taste that you want. It really brightens the whole dish. Taste and adjust if needed, and now we're ready to add the seafood. Mum decided she wanted to cook the squid separately in a bit of ghee before adding it in. A quick sear keeps it tender but brings out a little sweetness and flavor. It only needs about 1 to 2 minutes on high heat, just until it turns opaque. Once that's done, she added it to the bowl with the shrimp and the mushrooms, and then we stirred all of it gently into the risotto. The residual heat is enough to finish cooking everything perfectly. And there you have it, a tom yum risotto. Creamy, tangy, fragrant, with just the right amount of spice. A true East meets West comfort dish. For the final presentation, I tried to go minimal and aesthetic with just a few leaves to garnish, but honestly, the best flavor and in true Thai style was how my mother had it, loaded with aromatic herbs to help freshen up the dish. And that's how I recommend you should have it
Ready?
too.
Yes.
Cheers.
Very nice.
Good? That was really good.
Very
You guys have to try and make this, right, Mum?
good. Yep.
Maybe okay. Mum, what are you going to show us how to make?
Now I can start make a head prawn.
ดูสลิแม่เราพูดไทยดีกว่า โอเค
แล้วสลิปแปะพูดภาษาอังกฤษไหม
แม่สลิปพูด
งั้นดูแม่
โอเค
โอเค
How do you say yummy in Thai
อร่อยมาก
อ
ค่ะ
ร่อยมาก You want to say yummy in Thai อร่อยมาก
try
so
prawn
yummy
try prawn